What's up, everybody? It's Janelle, aka Small Guy Promotions, aka Uncle Daddy, coming with another podcast episode of What's Up Omaha. And I got my man Loganimal Wilson with me. Logan is a dojo brother of mine at 10 Planet Omaha. We've been together 3 years, three and a half, 4 years?
Yeah, years now. 3 years for me.
Yeah, I think it'll be. Yeah, because it'll be 4 years in like October for me. So it's
Cool.
been flying by, man. It's a beautiful thing though. Like I love it. Love it. Hold up.
Yes.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to talk about since we were going to talk about jiu-jitsu was right now it's May 9th and we're coming up on a year anniversary of getting promoted to blue belt.
That's crazy.
I don't know if you remember, I don't know if that clicked with you or not, but
yeah. All my jiu-jitsu anniversaries are in the spring. So, like when I started training, and then when I got my blue belt. So that's just kind of, I don't have like exact dates, but I always know around the time. It's crazy. I feel like that blue belt curse is real though. I got promoted and then I got hurt, so I was waiting for that to get surgery forever, and then all this coronavirus crap. So it's like,
yeah, because you were, how many months were you away, like for the surgery?
Hurt in September, and then I didn't get surgery until January. So I was waiting forever to even get fixed. And then once I finally had the surgery, like I had just started like easing back into like lightly training once all the lockdown stuff started happening. It was just terrible timing.
Yeah, that's but like we were talking about before, at least you've been like working outside already on your cardio and stuff to try to be prepared for when it's time to go back.
I know, because I know that's going to be so like I know what's in store for me when I do come back. So it's like I want to be, and especially like I got injured, so I already know my body's weakened, and like I have problems like even controlling myself and like rolling light and like being careful and not going hard. So I just figured I'd like use this as an opportunity to strengthen my body and be stronger, so when I do come back on the mats, it's 100.
Yeah, man. And it's one thing when it's just like a nagging injury, but you actually had surgery, so it's a little more to be concerned about, or at least cognizant about. Like,
right.
You don't want to go too hard too soon and end up having to have, like, is that a possibility that you might have to get surgery again if you don't take care of it?
Oh yeah, if I tore it again, for sure. It's just mesh, it's all just a bunch of, for those guys that don't know, I had a hernia, so they had to put a mesh in my groin, and that didn't feel very good. But so that's like a possibility, like overstraining and using my core, which obviously like we use rolling all the time. Like 90% of grappling is like your core and your lower back.
Yep.
And if I tweak that, you don't tear it. So it's a matter of like me strengthening that up again is what I need to do to avoid that, is making sure that part of my body's really strong, so I don't rip it again.
It's like a catch-22 though. Like you got to make sure that it's strong, but you also got to be careful because you don't want to re-injure it. So.
Yeah, I'm definitely not lifting heavy. Like I said earlier, like I got my little knockoff kettlebell that I'm doing like girl squats with. I'm basically doing like women's cardio exercises at home. But I'm just starting off small. I'm not trying to push it too hard and build that part up again.
Well, and I'm excited to like go back and see what it'll be like and have you back, man, because we've talked about it probably 20-30 times, man. I always credit you and Josh Todd for being the motivators for me to like hit the dojo hard, man. And I just saw the improvement with you guys and like RJ and stuff. And I was just like, I need to train harder. I need to train more because I can't be left behind, man. I can't be getting smashed.
Right.
So, man, it's weird to have someone training with you all the time, and then they're absent for whatever reason.
Right.
You still have other training partners, but you still get certain bonds with different people, man.
Mhm.
Like we're all connected, but like the bond that I have with you and like the Tods is like I feel like a little different since we started around the same time.
Yeah. It's
So
funny. I was just reading this thing on Reddit, and it was on their BJJ page, and it was like upper belts. It was like a forum, and it was like, they have ranks and stuff on there, and you have to get like mod approved. So it's like you can't just lie and say like, oh, I'm a black belt,
right.
They have like their tags on their names. So it's like it was like an upper belt only thread, and they were talking about lower belts and like whether or not they love them or they hate them, And like one of the top comments was talking about watching. He called them litter mates, like puppies,
Yeah.
like people that grow up together and they stick together, And I just like, man, I immediately was thinking about you and RJ and the Todds and everyone, It's just like all of us that like started around the same time, and now we're all blue belts, It's
Yep.
crazy. It's so true. Like we are like a bunch of puppies. Like we're all litter mates.
Yeah, man, and like pretty soon it'll be to the point where we're like the the guys who've been around for a while, man. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of starting to transition into that phase now, but we still have the people, of course, above us who are purple and brown, and
Right.
Derek, of
Right.
course, who they were there from the start, or
Right.
for 7-8 years. So
Right.
there's always going to be that separation, but we're
Yeah.
starting to become older in our jiu-jitsu age, man, and starting to maybe walk a little bit instead of just crawling.
Yeah, for real. It is crazy, like even when we were still white belts, when you first start like picking it up and realizing like, oh wait, this is starting to work, and like new people come in. It's like, oh, and like new people would come in, It's like, dang.
I got earbuds and you guys are fine. Sorry.
No, that's all right.
Yeah.
Crazy. Like once you start putting puzzles together and realizing, and then someone off the street comes in, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing too, man. Jiu-jitsu is different because, and I know we've seen it. You get guys who come in and who maybe they're athletic and they think that it's going to be a certain way when they come in to the dojo, and like it's not quite what they thought it was going to be because they can't just push people around.
No, and those guys honestly usually are the ones that don't come back.
Yeah.
Because they don't like to get, you have this idea in your brain of like where you rank, on the totem pole with all other men or women even, and then you come in and you get humbled, then it's like, I don't like that.
Yeah. When you find out, like for real, like, oh, like, because there's so many things, like even just being able to like find your balance, like it's a different thing when someone's pushing on you and pulling on you, and you're trying to like find your posture. Like they're doing all types of stuff, kicking you in the hip or in the knee to try to get you off balance. So you're not used to that, man. So you might be a strong dude, but if you can't get a good base and you can't balance,
then you're screwed.
Fish out of water, man.
Triple mistakes, yeah, for sure. It's getting kind of windy out here. Are you having problems hearing me, or is that okay?
Nah, you're good. Nah, you're good.
Yeah, that's always. I mean, that happened to me. Like, I wasn't big by any means. I've always been a skinny guy, but I was definitely like I know how to fight. I fought all the time, And then I'd come in, and I'll never forget when I first started training, I was always going to lunch classes with Warlock's lunch class, Dave Ewing.
Yep.
Christine was always there, and like RJ was always there, and some other people. But like, even there was this other chick. I can't remember her name. I can't remember, but there used to be this other girl that trained in the morning. Oh, Maria. Maria was her name.
Yeah, military Maria.
Yeah, like the only thing I knew about jiu-jitsu was like MMA. So like I'm thinking, like very basic from watching, and I had no idea what leg locks were, and I was just getting smoked by everyone. Like girls like Christine, and that was such like a humbling. You come in, you're like, oh, I know how to fight, and then next thing you know, some chick's like twisting your leg up, and you're like tapping.
What just happened? What happened?
And me, I was like, okay, if this girl that I'm like 100 pounds heavier than can take my foot home and make me tap out, then I want to learn how to do this to someone else.
Yep. That
Some
technique,
people that
man.
happens to them though, and they're like, "Oh, I'm never coming back. I don't like that. I don't like that feeling."
Yeah,
But
there's a lot, I feel like, because I even remember one class. I don't know if you were there or not. It was an evening class, but there were two or three guys who were new and like bigger dudes, and one of them pushed someone into the wall, and like there ended up being a dent in the wall, like because their head hit the wall. But those dudes, like,
we're
we
just
didn't
going
even
up.
like roll in or anything because it was just the one-on-one class. But
Yeah,
they never came back at the end of that class, man, or after that class. So, and you never know, maybe they're shopping around, going to different dojos, or
I
trying
don't.
to find out where they want to go, or they
Yeah,
just, it was tougher than they thought, or you know.
yeah.
And,
I- You have to learn how to turn that part of your brain off. Like and be humble. Just
yeah.
like step that like, okay, I'm gonna get beat up for a while, and then I'm gonna learn how to beat someone else up.
And even when you learn how to beat someone else up, there's still gonna be somebody else there to beat you up.
There's
It's
always a bigger
like,
fish. There's always a bigger fish.
always, man, always. But it's cool though when you start to see like the different, like you were saying, when new people come in, like the different
Yeah.
levels.
Right.
And I always remember JP saying that to me, that there's levels, and you're just like, what? And then you
Right.
start to see, oh yeah, we're both white belts, but you just came in, or like, now that we're blue belts, that doesn't mean that we're going to be able to beat all the white belts or whatever, because at the
Right.
end of the day, it doesn't mean you're a master at that level. So I mean, you can still be beat by anyone, but you just start to see the experience, like, and you begin to move quicker because you've been in a position more often. So when
Right.
they talk about it being human chess, like, I really feel like that's a legit comparison to what we do on the
For
mats.
sure.
And I
For
suck
sure.
right now, so.
Right. Well,
But
and that's yeah, and it's just like time on the mats too.
yep,
Like anything else. Like the more time you have at it, the better you're gonna be at it. So it's like
yeah,
you probably never catch up to the guys, like you said, that have been training for 7 years, 8 years, 10 years before we started. But
yep,
it just, the more time you put in, the more you get out of it. There's no like, that's the secret.
yep.
There's
And
no other. So, I mean,
you can't even describe to people what it is unless they do it, man, because the simplest of things, like breathing,
right.
like you think that you're breathing, but people are telling you to breathe and you're holding your breath and you're
Dude,
like, I thought I was
so bad.
breathing.
You can do that so bad. Yeah.
Yep. And you kind of muscle through everything, and it's like, dude, it's not about the muscle. Like, you just got to flow and move.
Yeah. Being muscular does help though.
It does, at least to frame on people, and keep, you can stay a little safer sometimes, but it's also it is easier sometimes, but it's also one of those things where you can lull yourself into a sense of security, man.
Oh, for
You
sure.
think, oh, my muscle will get me out of this jam. I can just explode
Right.
out of this. But you get those higher ranked folks, and it doesn't matter how much you explode out of
Yeah.
something, because
Yeah. Right.
they know what's coming. They actually probably set you up for whatever you're
Right.
about to do, and they know you're about to do it before you even know.
Right. And that's the funnest part about jiu-jitsu. Like you said earlier, it is like a chess game. There's so much stuff. There's like limitless possibilities. And that's what I like about the no gi. I've never trained gi, so I can't like totally, make a judgment call on it. But the no gi seems to be so much more open-minded and like willing to take, little bits of everything, whether it's, if it's grappling and it's a submission, or if it's a position or whatever, and it works, like we're doing it.
Yeah.
Is how
Well,
I feel. I mean, it makes, it just perfect sense to me, as instead of being like traditionalists, like, oh, we only do this, we do it this way, we've always done it this way.
right.
Like, why not? It's like, oh, these wrestlers are doing this and these judo guys are doing this, and why don't we just take all of that and use it?
Well, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I want to see. I mean, I know you're heavy, like you already talked about Reddit, so you're like heavy into the world of martial arts, jujitsu and whatnot. At least as far as like the message boards and everything goes.
For
I'm never
sure.
on anything like that. But recently, I saw a video where they were talking about the death of no-gi pretty much because like, and this is from people who I can't remember the guy's name. I have
I
to
think
send
it
you
was
the video.
Keenan. I think I saw that. Was it Keenan Cornelius?
Maybe he was talking
Yeah,
about
a white guy.
Yep,
Yeah, like a young white guy.
yep.
Yeah,
He had won some titles in no-gi and whatnot, but was
yeah,
saying how uh,
yeah,
he talked about Gordon Ryan in it and whatnot in the little video that I saw. So
yeah.
like, what are your thoughts about that? Like, and the comparisons between gi and no gi.
I mean, like I said, the only time I ever put on a gi was when I did Taekwondo when I was like 10. So, I've never grappled in a gi. I've never done it. So I have to put that out there, like full disclaimer. I can't judge it as a whole. I think it looks interesting. Like, I think, I've watched it live at tournaments and I've reffed it. And in certain instances, like it can get really, sometimes it's boring to watch, especially watching like white belts,
Yeah,
like heavy white belts, because the grip game is so different. It's not like no-gi where you have nothing to grab onto, where it's just like underhooks and overhooks and, getting a hold of their physical body. You can just, you can grab collars like this and
right.
sleeves and everything. And so it can move a lot slower sometimes. So
Yep.
that part can be boring because people can just clench up, especially from what I can see white belts, and then they're just locked up and nothing's happening.
Right.
But there's another part that's exciting that I don't understand because I've never trained it before. And that's like all the different collar chokes and all those different guards. Like they have like worm guard and lapel guard and all this stuff that I've never trained. So I'm like, oh, that's just more jujitsu that maybe I'll learn one day. Who knows?
Well, like Ryan leaving,
Yeah. Right.
he was saying that there's more. I remember him telling me too that like even a knee slice, like it's hard to do because they can just grab your pant leg. And you
Right.
can't
Exactly.
slice through. Like
Yeah.
there's so many different things. I think it's interesting, and I love no gi, but I do. So this is what I said to him because he asked me my opinion, and I'm like, well, I'm still fairly young in the world of
Right.
jujitsu, but I can see where that mindset comes from because the guy in gi can transition to no gi, I think, easier than the guy in no gi can transition to gi.
I agree.
So, I mean, I think in a lot of instances they may, have, well, they do have an advantage because they look at things a little differently than we do. But I mean, if you're only doing no gi and we're just talking about being at the dojo or competition, it doesn't really matter, I guess.
Right. Right.
Unless you're a
Yeah.
no gi who's gonna try to go into a gi match and then you don't know
Right.
what's going on. But
Right.
those moves and the submissions, like there's been videos that I've seen of people get choked out or something, and I have to go, or maybe even like some kind of weird armbar, and I have to go back and watch it 2 or 3 times or watching in slow mo because
Right.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah. Right.
So,
No, I agree. But yeah, that's definitely like a whole, just a whole nother aspect. Like I said, I don't train it. Like I don't, and I do think that a lot of that too, because that's like a big argument that always gets brought up in martial arts is sport versus self-defense.
yeah.
And like both sides are like have their say where like obviously no-gi, you look at like in my personal opinion, MMA is like the best bit, like any type of like realistic self-defense, striking, punching, kicking, grappling, wrestling, submissions,
Yeah.
and all MMA guys do no gi. So that's my viewpoint right there is that, not wearing a gi, that's how they train. It's not relying on those grips and just using their body to get control and get submissions. But at the same time, I do think that a gi could be useful like training in for self-defense. Like obviously we live in Nebraska, so like if someone's wearing like a coat or a hoodie or like even me wearing a flannel right now, like you bring that across my neck, like
Right.
I might
Right.
or controlling my sleeves and stuff. So I mean it's interesting. I know like it's supposed to be, if you read like comments online, everyone's all like aggressive and it's like, oh, I think this style sucks and I think this, it's like I don't,
Yeah.
I can just say what I've seen of it. Like, I think I like no-gi. I mean, for me, 100%, I'm glad because I didn't know 10th Planet. I didn't know who Eddie Bravo was. I didn't know what 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu was. I didn't know the difference between gi or no gi. I just started training at the gym. And I'm glad I did it, though, because I think gi is more, no gi is more open-minded with submissions. Like I said earlier, like way more willing to take other things in, whether it's leg locks or wrestling or, whatever. And then also it's just so much more fast-paced. And I know, like, I've seen higher belt people in the gi roll, and it's way more exciting and, like, fast-paced to watch. But with, like, any match I've seen or ref, and it's lower belts, a lot of times it's pretty small. Because, like you said earlier, even, like, knee slides and stuff, because you have cloth to grab onto, so.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be fun to try at some point.
Oh, yeah, I'd try it for sure.
It'll probably feel like walking into a dojo on day one. Like, because it's a totally different world.
Right.
And with submissions, man, it's bad where you're like headed towards trouble and you don't know. So like it doesn't take long to be unconscious. So I mean, if you get stuck in a spot that you've never been in before and you don't know what to do, man, it can get real choppy fast.
Right. Yeah. It would definitely be a learning curve, Yeah,
for sure. Well, man, one of the things I also wanted to talk to you about was like what was it that brought you into 10th Planet, and like had you already thought about doing jiu-jitsu before, and what made you come to 10th Planet?
Okay. Do you want, as you know me, the conversation strangler, I'll give you the runaround. So I've always been into martial arts, even ever since I was a kid. I did Taekwondo forever when I was younger. I quit by the time I was in middle school, but I was actually like super good at it. Like I actually went to the Junior Olympics one time when I was a kid. I didn't medal, but I qualified. Like there was like thousands of kids there. It was crazy.
Right.
But then the first time I ever got into a fight, like a real fight, I got my butt kicked. And I was like, oh, Taekwondo is kind of whack.
Yeah.
Like I was like a high level Taekwondo dude,
Yeah.
Like it made me realize that like the way that its point system was set up and the way that the sparring was set up and the way that it viewed, katas and like forms, it was all theoretical, like 90% of it. It was fun. I'm glad I did it. It was great exercise. I got real flexible, I was a weird kid, so it was a way for me to get out and make friends. But like in terms of like actual fighting, which is,
You're good.
Are you there?
Yep.
Okay. It wasn't that realistic. So I was kind of bummed on that. And then when I went through my little like teenage rebellious phase and like, was in scuffles and stuff, and kind of saw what real life like fighting looked like.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, always watching UFC. Like I obviously knew who the Gracies were and saw jiu-jitsu at its basic forms, like rear naked choke and ground and pound and, taking someone's back and all that stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, this stuff's real. So like over 10 years ago, one of my good buddies was training at a gym in Omaha, which I won't mention. And he was a white belt and he was in the gi, and he invited me to a class. And I was like, cool. Cause like I already knew what jiu-jitsu, I mean, I didn't know what jiu-jitsu was. I just knew from what I'd seen from UFC. And I'd always thought it was cool. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go to this. And I went there. And it was a really big gym, and it was really well established, and they had a big class, and everyone there was just like super ruthless and like rude, and like, we're like basically bullies. Like I was super out of shape at the time. I was partying all the time. I was smoking cigarettes, so that didn't help. But like the fact was like I'd never grappled in my entire life, and I just got the shit beat out of me for like an hour.
Yeah.
And like not only that, like I could put up with that, but it was like no one was like the way you are when new people come in, like, oh, hey, I'm D, like, welcome to our gym, like, how are you? Like, it was all just like, oh, who's this guy, and I never went back. I was like, these guys are jerks,
See,
and
yeah, that's crazy.
So it took me forever after that. I was just like, oh, I guess that's how MMA and jiu-jitsu, it was more of a MMA based gym. I think that might be why that might was.
But, they had actual like fighters and stuff then, like, so.
Yeah, they had the cage and everything. I mean, it was a huge gym. There was a lot of people there. but just the feel, I mean, was just like, oh, I don't want to work out with these people. Like, they're like, you know, it's my first day and I have no idea what I'm doing. And they're like trying to hurt me, you know? And so, I didn't think anything of it for years afterwards until about 3 years ago. And I was super out of shape and I wasn't happy. And I feel like a lot of people, you know, are in the same boat as I was when I first started, where they're just like wanting to make a change in their life and be healthier and do something positive. And I always wanted to cross off that bucket list, like learn like a real martial art that works. And I was at work one day and it was really slow and I was like looking up gyms. And I live in South Omaha in 10th Planet, which, you know, it's over by Offutt. So that was closest to me. And the rates, I remember looking at online and being like, oh, okay, this is a little bit cheaper than all the other gyms and I'll save on gas.
Right.
And I called them and I don't remember who I talked to. Might have been like Cody or something. I remember it was a guy, but they were just like, oh yeah, bud, like, you want to learn? Like, come on down.
It's probably Cody.
And I went down and I set up an appointment and I talked to Christine and Oscar. That was
man.
And they like gave me the whole spiel and they were super nice. And I did my first class and like I said, my very first class, and for many classes after that, I was just constantly getting tapped out. You know, I was constantly losing everything and I had no idea what I was doing. But like the environment was 100% different than the previous, where it was like people were coaching me and like explaining to me and like, oh, hey, I got you because you keep putting your arm out on the mat. Like, stop putting your arm out on the mat. And then I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, you know? Whereas the other gym, it was like, I'm going to kill you.
yeah, man.
So that was it. Like I said, I had no idea about gi versus no gi. I had no idea about, the only thing I knew about Joe Rogan was like, I liked him because he hunts, you know, that's why I was, and, you know, I had no idea about Eddie Bravo and all that other stuff. And it just, that, you know, even if our gym wasn't 10th Planet Omaha, I'd still train there all the time just because they're, you know,
the
way they treated me when I first came in was light years ahead of the other place, you know, willing to take in like a new person who didn't know what they were doing and show them the ropes. That's what really won me over.
I'm glad that you came, man. Like I said, if it weren't you, you know, I don't know, man. So, you know, stuff would work out regardless one way or another, but I'm just glad that I've experienced it with the people that I have experienced it with. So
For
like,
sure.
It's like, you can't see it going a different way, man, because it just feels like right.
Yeah, for sure.
And you touched on like the way it is when people walk in, man. For me, like, okay, so if you don't ever listen to the What's Up Omaha or you don't follow Small Guy Promotions, you may not know, but my daughters do jujitsu and they've done it longer than I have. And even being a parent and taking them there and knowing people at the dojo, but not training, it's tough. So when I started training, I thought, like, I don't get anxious about much, man. I don't stress about a lot of stuff, and
Right.
I found myself driving to the dojo and like my heart rate was like going up and like I was having to like
sit on my face and choke.
Yeah, man. I was like, what's wrong with me, man? I would have to take deep breaths to try to like relax and stuff before I went to the dojo, and I was like, what is going on? I don't understand. And now, like, looking back on that, I know that it's some kind of mental thing where you work yourself up about being nervous about going to the dojo. So I just want people to always, like you were saying, I just want people to feel welcome because I want them to come back, because the more partners that we have, the better that we get. You know that. So
100%. And also, like, I view it like, you know, it sounds corny, but I really do view like martial arts as like a way to better yourself and improve yourself and like strengthen weak people. So if like someone really is having a hard time coming in and is like struggling, like that's who needs it the most.
Yep.
You know, like I want them to say, you know, for sure, because you want to see like them grow. Like I grew, you know, like I've definitely grown. Any type of adversity, you know, people can get into anything. Like people can grow if you get into cycling or rock wall climbing or anything, but there's something about jiu-jitsu where it's like you have to go through the process of getting humbled and getting your butt kicked for so long before it's hurt, that it really is like a magical thing, you know? It is like a superpower.
Yeah, it is. And there's different things at play too, man, because and this helps me, I think, too, like being overweight. I said that like I'm not really overweight, but I am overweight. Being overweight, yeah. But like having other people who come in and who are worried about that or having a hard time, like it's easy to have someone who's always been in shape to say, hey man, you can do it, it gets easier. Well, me who's been in that position, who could say, man, look, last year I was 240 pounds or whatever, and now I'm, well, not right now because I haven't been training, but when I was at 205, I'd be like, yeah, man, I was at 240 and I made the decision that I wasn't going to be 240 anymore because I wanted to be better at competition and I wanted to be more at a natural size for myself. Like, you can do it. Like,
you got under 200 pounds, right?
Yeah, a couple times. Kind of cutting but I was probably walking around at 205, 207, but I was cutting down to 197, 195, 194 to compete.
40 pounds is a lot.
Yes, I got to be careful in this quarantine, safe distancing, all this stuff, stay at home initiative because I can't get back up there.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is tempting, you know?
So I just have to acknowledge that I know where I was at and what it took to get there and have to start over. Like you said earlier, I feel like I know I can do it, so it'll be a little easier, but right. I shouldn't make it too tough on myself. So
yeah. Well, everyone knows that like once that transition starts and you do go back to the gym, like you know what you're in for.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, make it as easy as possible.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. I'm excited for it though, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to be out of breath. And I think this time, since it's like it'll be going back instead of like going for it the first time, like mentally, I already have that stored of what I can get through.
Yep.
So I like to think that I'm a lot tougher up here to get through some of those tough situations or those areas where you're tired or whatever. So.
And I feel like it's going to renew everyone's, enthusiasm as well, because like for me, especially I got hurt. So I was out for a couple months and then this crap started. So it's like, I've been out for a while. I've been sitting, it's really put into perspective. Like, okay, what would I rather be doing with my time? Because now I used to think, oh, I just want free time.
Yeah.
Have all the time in the world. And it's like, all I want to do is train, work on that, take that more. So it's like that, it's nice to get a little taste of the other side and like what life could be like again. It's like, I just don't want to be sitting on the couch all day.
Yep. And I think for me, I miss it. And there's that appreciation for it. But I also feel like I was going so hard for like so long.
You were training like 7 days a week.
Yeah. And then I was throwing in weights, here and there, So like for me, it made me realize that maybe I don't have to train 7 days a week. It's okay for me to train 5 days a week, and
because that's the number.
Well, I was learning that like I wasn't having time even before like COVID. I started taking Wednesdays off because I needed time to do stuff for my business, man.
Right.
And it was like when I did have time, I didn't feel like sitting down at the computer and doing stuff for an hour or 2 hours or however long it took. So, balance. That's what I hope to go back into it with is that, and also for the kids to give them a little more freedom. I know Aria wants to try different things, so I want to make sure that she gets those opportunities.
I was going to ask you, anything about other sports, or are they happy with just training?
Jamila tried out for volleyball and she was going to try out for basketball, but she didn't. And wrestling, but she decided not to do that as well. She's fine with just like having fun with volleyball. She doesn't want to compete. she's cool to
Yeah.
just come into jujitsu. Like
Cool.
Aria, she's the one who she does want to get into different stuff like, and we probably should have already had her in other stuff like dance and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you don't want to. I mean, it's all you guys train together. I think that's cool. Like I always look up to you and the Todds, and I don't know if you heard that car.
I could hear it. Yeah.
Like Matt Owings and all the families and stuff that train together. But I also feel like you got to be careful not to like force them. If they want to do other, then they might start resenting it. You know.
See, and that's the thing. I make sure, because I'm all about trying to figure out a way to be happy. So I tell them, like, if you're going to go, you're going to go. Like, you can't halfway do jujitsu.
Right.
Learning from my own experience and going one day a week for the first year. So they have to make sure to commit when they're going to be doing it, but also, especially with Jamila, when she was getting to those points where there were things coming up that she could try out for, I was like, hey, we'll make it work. Don't worry about jiu-jitsu. If you want to do something else, like you can do it. At first I was kind of like, this is gonna cut into my jiu-jitsu training. But I was like, don't worry about that. We'll figure that out. Like you do what you want to do. You're only gonna be young once, and like find out what you like to do. So, but yeah, she's all about like trying to help. She wants to teach when she gets older, so that's why she likes going to the dojo to help out with the Tiny Tigers class.
Cool.
So, but yeah, I know what you mean, man. Like I don't want them to feel like they have to. Like jiu-jitsu is everything.
Yeah.
So, and then it's not fun. Like you want it to be fun.
Right. And I think that if you keep that mindset with, they'll always want to train. You know, it's just whether or not they want to take the time to try something else.
Yeah. Yep. And that's what it is. And it's so nice now that Jamila's getting older that like I can actually roll with her, and not smash her since I'm losing weight.
Not murder your child.
Yeah, dude. The first time that after I lost weight and we were rolling around and she was able to put me in guard, like she had never been able to get her legs around me before.
Remember that?
So, like that was like always grateful for jiu-jitsu, man.
Heck yeah, I miss it. I miss you guys. I miss the dojo family,
Yeah, it was nice to go and see them today while they were out there. So it's supposed to be May 14th is what we're looking at for return date to normal. He's trying to do the safe distancing and doing individual work right now, but May 14th.
That's for your job or
no, for Tim Planet.
Okay.
Cool. I mean, that's probably when the state is opening up more.
Or whatever,
yeah. But so with that comes regular training. If for people who are ready.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for everything. I know. I feel like telling people they can't train jiu-jitsu is like a lost cause. Like the diet, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like any prohibition, like drugs or gun. Like people are gonna do what they want to do. But I work at a hospital, so like I follow whatever it's getting windy. I'm gonna follow whatever like the official guidelines are and the press says, not the press, doctors, and
better safe than sorry.
Like me, especially since I work at a hospital, I don't want to like catch 22, like bring that out and spread it around my friends.
Right.
That's how I look at it. It's like I'm gonna be the jerk that is the one.
Yep.
Oh.
Well, so
that's my point on it.
This is the way that I had to make myself be okay with it. Was like in jiu-jitsu, we talk about patience and like how it's going to take a while for us to progress and whatnot. Well, if we talk about patience and jiu-jitsu being a lifestyle, then this month or 2 months that we're off, even though it sucks, it's still like we have to be patient and just be ready to come back when it's time for us to do so. Like, but this month off is not gonna kill us, or this month and a half is not gonna kill us. So, we just gotta be patient. So it'll be there.
I already took so much time off when I was, waiting to get that surgery. And honestly, it probably did work out for the best because, like, when I started training again, I wasn't 100%. I was just trying to, like, lightly drill and roll.
Yep, I remember.
So me, personally, it probably is, like, the safer option just to wait a couple more months and do strength training and working my cardio on my own before I
Yeah.
go back. So that way, once all this crap's over and it's good to go, I'll be 100% instead of like rolling and trying to drill and do that light stuff at like 60%, which is there's always a risk for,
Yeah.
you know. So for me personally, it probably will work out better.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you want to be able to not think like to a certain level. Like you
Right.
don't want to have that on your mind. Like, hey, ooh, I got to be careful moving like this or whatever, because that's when something might actually happen. You just want to be able to go out there and have it flip. So.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
Man. Well, shoot, man, we should probably wrap it up. But I'd like to have you on again, man, so we can talk more like about jiu-jitsu and just life in general, man. It's
I know.
been a while.
I miss talking to you. I miss shooting the shit.
Yeah, man, for real. For real.
Like I feel like we'd always be the ones like whispering in class, like, "How are you?" Like,
yeah.
What did you do today? Like,
yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, we definitely have to. Well, we've been trying to text back and forth and stuff too from time to time. JP hit me up last week, so that was cool. Talking to him a little bit. So.
Yeah, I always keep in touch with him, and then I've been trying to message Taylor because he got activated because he's in the National Guard.
So with all the
stuff going on, he's driving around. Yeah, shoot him a text or something. He's like, he's doing his army stuff. He's delivering supplies, driving trucks, doing all that. So, yeah, that stuff's affecting a lot of people. I know Sean, he works at the nursing home, so he's got to deal with this a ton.
Yeah, Bushby.
Great. It's really crazy. I've never like it. I just can't wait for it all to go back to normal.
If it does, you know what I mean? So,
we'll see. What is normal?
Yeah, right. Dude, I went to the store today and I wasn't paying attention. Like, I knew there were restrictions on the meat.
Yeah.
But you can't get, like, of the fresh cut meat, even if it's different types of meat, you can't get more than 4 meat items.
Yep.
And so, like, I didn't know that was the thing. So I got to the register and I had to put, like, 3 things of meat back. Uh-oh. We lose you, Logan? Uh-oh. Logan, I'm on. All right, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We had a little technical issue going on right there, but we're back. We're just about to close it out anyway, saying that, we're keeping in contact with one another, trying to make sure to get through it. People like Sean, and you yourself work at hospitals. Bushby works at a hospital.
Yep.
It's best to be safe, and then put other people at risk. So, I mean, that is never going to be a bad thing. I don't have all the answers. I don't have the facts. So I just would rather be safe.
We might never have them, but for right now, let's just play it safe.
Yeah, man. So, again, I would love to have you back on sometime, man, so we can talk more. And I want to make this a regular thing where I just have friends on and I'm not necessarily talking about business stuff or whatever. We just have a podcast and chill and talk.
Who do you got tonight, Ferguson or Justin?
Man, I'm so out of the loop. I don't even, I'm telling you, all I do is work, bro.
Yeah, you did tell me that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So they're having a fight with, like, no crowd, no audience?
Nope. It's going to be like the old Ultimate Fighter, like the show. It's at the Performance Center.
Well, I mean, we got to go with the 10 Planet guy, right? I mean,
100%.
And he's a cool dude from what it seems like. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I got to root for that guy. Yeah, Mr. Ferguson, the champion, Tony Ferguson. Yeah. Well, all right, Logan. Thank you. And you can stay on. I'm gonna just end the recording here in a second. Okay. But everybody, thank you. Yeah, thank you for being on, man. I appreciate you.
Sure.
If you're listening, please help us spread the word about What's Up Omaha. Share it. Tell people about it. Whatever. Just help us grow. Thank you for listening. Smile. Help someone else smile. Laugh and help someone else laugh all day, every day. That's what it is. Peace out. Yeah.